Hey everyone, it's Maeve. This is going to be my September reading wrap up. Last month I did the Self Pub and Indie Pub September Readathon, and I focused my entire month only reading Self and Indie Pub books that I physically owned. I started with recording a vlog that took me a very long time to edit, and then I started a second vlog that I never actually finished, so I'm going to insert that clip here, and then I will come back to give my final thoughts of the month. Hey everyone, it's Maeve. This is going to be my second self-pub slash indie pub September video that I'm doing. The first one I tried to do a vlog. I feel like it turned out okay, but I realized that I'm not really the vlogging type. So this is just going to be a really short update on what I'm reading and what I've read since then. So to start with, I am still reading The Birds and the Beasts. This is a poetry collection. I will have the author's information down below. It is still really great. It talks a lot about depression and anxiety and a lot of things that have to do with growing up as a woman in this world. And I'm really, really enjoying it because I do relate to a lot that is in here. So I'm really glad that I picked this up, and I appreciate that I get to continue this throughout the rest of the month. The next book I actually finished was The Cult of Carmine by Tyler O. Baker. This story follows a detective and his granddaughter who are on a missing person case where they are going to this really secluded town to find this little girl whose father hasn't heard from the mother and daughter for a while. And when they get to this town, they notice that there are some really strange, odd things going on, including a very unique and odd religion that pretty much the whole town participates in, which is, again, odd. You don't really find an area where everybody is the same religion. This book was creepy. It did have some descriptive gory pieces that were a little bit much for me personally. It did have a really intense twist at the end that I really appreciated and I did not see coming. This book gave me Stephen King and H.P. Lovecraft vibes, and I did enjoy it, but I think that this is the type of horror that I'm not really that into. Since I've been talking about the formatting of all of these, I will say that this had some really nice formatting. It has chapters, it has page numbers, it has chapter breaks when you are changing perspective. And the only odd thing is something that I've seen in a lot of self-pub books, and that is that there are quite a few blank pages at the end of the book. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to be rating this. I'm kind of sitting between a 4-star, maybe a high 3.5, 3.75. Either way, I do highly recommend this for anybody who likes novella length horror, mystery, detective novels that have a cult element that does not fall into the satanic Christian cult. And now to get to what I am currently reading for Self-Pub Indie Pub September, and that is Elegy of a Fragmented Vineyard by Kaden Love. I am almost 100 pages into this. I'm on page 98 and chapter 9. I'm really enjoying this, although it is very complicated. There are a lot of characters, there's a lot of politics, there's a lot of different, I want to say like factions of people and different beliefs that are going on. And so it can get a little bit confusing. This does have a glossary at the beginning of the book that you can reference as you are reading the book, so that if you do get lost with a character or a phrase or anything like that, you can always go to the glossary. I'm not a huge glossary person. I like to be able to read a book and know what is going on just because of the descriptions of the book itself. But I do think this is a really brilliant read, and it's definitely going to be one that once I finish it, I will probably reread it just to get more out of it the second time around. This is also the first book in a series, and so I'm excited to finish reading this, see what I think, and hopefully pick up the next book in the series. If it's currently out, I will have to double check on that. My best friend saw that I was doing a self-pub, indie pub month, and he lent me his friend's self-pub poetry collection, and that is The Worst of Me. This is by Alisha Christensen, and I have read one of these so far. This also talks about depression, anxiety, and some of the struggles that women go through. I really like that this has the edits still in the book, and it goes back and forth between handwritten poems and typed out poems. So the formatting of this is really fun, and I am excited to read more of this throughout this month and possibly into the rest of the year. As you guys saw in my last vlog, I did get out of town for a little bit, and one of the things that I really love doing when I do go somewhere new is visit the local bookstores in the area that I go to, and I ended up picking up 2 more indie / self-pub books. So this is one of them. I have no idea how to pronounce this. It looks like Caribbean to me, Caribbean Red or Caribbean Red. And this is by Ashley N. Silver. The small blurb on the back of this is espionage, romance, found family, and a heist with a high chance of explosions. I really love the cover. I thought it looked really good, and it's autographed, so I was really excited about that. So this is adding to my indie and self-pub collection. And the other book I picked up is a chunky book. This is Atonement of a Spine Cleaver by F.E. Bryce. And the blurb on this says, "She burned down their cities, now she needs their protection." This is an epic fantasy, and it's going to be a series. I will definitely not be getting to this month, but I am excited to have this on my shelves. I've decided that I really want to accomplish one of the goals that I've had for a couple years now, and that is to read at least one self or indie pub book per month, even after this month. I started doing this last year, and I was doing it every so often, but I wasn't actually getting to reading a self-pub book every single month. So I really want to make this a goal from here on out, because I really want to support self and indie pub authors. I think there are some amazing books out there that nobody gives a chance because they don't have the traditional publisher's name attached to them. And I think that that's really unfortunate. So I'd like to bring more awareness to some of these books that you may not have heard of. So I did end up finishing Elegy of a Fragmented Vineyard by Kaden. This was a really incredible book. I know that when I first started it, I had said that I was very confused, and there's a lot of different characters and politics that are all happening, and then I had to keep looking at the glossary in the book, and I did, but eventually I did pick up on who was who and what was happening where and who was connected to which political view, etc. I do think that I'm going to need to reread this before I read the second book in the series, but I'm definitely going to be picking up the second book. I ended up giving this a 4.5 star. The only reason that that is not a 5 star is because I did struggle in the beginning with keeping track of all of the perspectives and views of everyone at the beginning, but this is an incredibly creative and unique story, and I think that more people should pick it up and read it. This is available on Audible and I think Kindle Unlimited, so if you're interested in reading this but you want a digital copy or an audio copy, you can listen or read it digitally. I will have the links for this down below, but again, I do highly recommend this book. And the last 2 things that I finished for Self-Pub September were these 2 poetry collections. I have The Birds and the Beasts by Aubree Barnum and The Worst of Me by Alisha Christensen. I did say that these are both about anxiety, depression, living as a woman, and those difficulties. I am going to say that this has a lot less triggering content than this does. This does focus on depression and anxiety mostly. It does go into some of the things that we go through as kind of younger people, so before we hit 20, etc. This is very much like an adult perspective on depression, anxiety, imposter syndrome, and the struggles that we have with certain vices. So sex, drugs, alcohol, gambling, anything that you could consider a vice is in this. There's also a lot of talk about the devil or bad influences that we recognize as the devil. And so if these kinds of things are triggering, but you do want something that talks about anxiety and depression, I highly recommend this book. Definitely look into trigger warnings for both of these, but regardless, I loved both of these so much. I'm going to be buying my own copy of this because this was lent to me by my best friend, and I'm going to be keeping this on my shelves. And if Aubree ever writes more poetry, I will be picking it up and adding that to my collection as well. So as a quick wrap up, I started with Dear Author by Laura A. Grace. This is just a collection of letters that she wrote to aspiring authors to encourage them to keep writing the books that they want to write in their lifetime. Then I read Kill Switch, an AI story by M.L. Nunnally. This is the story of an AI that goes to a planet searching for a place for this colony that he was created for, and he comes across some very difficult decisions when he does end up getting there. Then I read The Cult of Carmine. This is a dark detective horror that follows a grandfather and his granddaughter as they are searching for a missing child, and they get involved in this really intense, crazy cult. This has some really great twists. This is not my type of horror, but I think that a lot of people will enjoy this. Then I read Expelled by Beth M. Stephenson. I actually lent this book out to my dad, and so I will just insert a picture here. This was a historical fiction following the Polish side of World War II and a young boy who is growing up during the time of World War II. This is actually my favorite of the month, which was really surprising because although I do like historical fiction, I thought that I was going to like my second favorite as the favorite. So that gets into Elegy of a Fragmented Vineyard. This is a very close second place for my favorite of the month. I think it is absolutely fantastic. Please pick it up if you are into a sci-fi fantasy with a lot of politics and a large cast of characters that are all extremely unique, because I think that you would really love this one. And then, as I said, I ended the month with these two poetry collections. If you like poetry, if these topics interest you, I highly recommend both. Just make sure that the trigger warnings are something that you are okay with reading. So I ended up reading 7 self-pub/indie pub books. That leaves 3 more on my shelves that I was planning on reading, plus the 2 that I picked up last month while I was out of town. So now I have 5 self-pub and indie pub books to continue reading throughout the months. I have decided that I want to go back to one of my goals that I had a couple years ago in reading a self-pub book per month. And I would like to do that for the foreseeable future because I feel that indie and self-pub books need a lot more recognition. I don't feel like I had any duds out of these, and I honestly feel like I can recommend them all. As for vlogging, I think that I am done vlogging. I don't believe that vlogging is my style of filming. I think it takes way too long and it makes me very overwhelmed, and so I don't think you guys are going to see any more vlogs in the future. I might do a vlog-ish video where I do a try a chapter, but I doubt that I'm going to have like B-roll in between. It's just going to be me checking in with book 1 or book 2, book 3, etc. I also am going to leave this readathon to the one who started it, which is Sam Harrison. I'll have his channel linked down below. I honestly feel like I didn't do this readathon justice because I, again, only posted 2 videos for the entire month. And I really wanted to do a lot more. I wanted to highlight authors. I wanted to have video clips of authors talking about their works and things like that. And I just don't feel like I have the current skills to do those things justice. But that wraps up my September reading. Did you guys get to any self or indie pub books this month? If you did, please let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear about it. My favorite thing about YouTube is talking to you in the comments, and my second favorite thing about YouTube is watching your videos. So link me, tag me, let me know in the comments below that you also have a booktube channel. I would love to check it out. Also, I'm going to have some of the channels that I've recently subscribed to in my description down below. Go and check out those channels. I'm really enjoying their content, and I hope that October brings us everything that we are wanting reading-wise. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!